No, I am not Al Borland, and this is not Home Improvement. This is the Youth Worker Daily, and this week we're celebrating the unsung heroes of youth ministry, the volunteer. Hey everybody, welcome back to the Youth Worker Daily, where we hope to encourage youth workers just like you with tools, tips, resources, and helps so that you thrive in your ministry. My name is Jay Hyam, and welcome to my garage. No, we're not going to be working on cars, and we're not going to be doing any building projects. This week, we are talking and celebrating the volunteer. The volunteer youth worker, whether you are the lead volunteer person at your church or just a volunteer who is working with your student ministry team, this week our topics are all about you. Now, the first thing that we need to do is right off the bat, I want to make sure that we pause and we say thank you. Thank you for all you do as a volunteer youth worker. Like I said, it doesn't matter whether you might be the person in charge or a volunteer who is just helping with a team. I know you probably don't hear it often enough, but we thank you. On behalf of all youth workers who are fortunate enough to make this wonderful adventure a career, we know how hard it is to run a youth ministry, much less do it from a volunteer basis. And so you are our heroes. As we think about what you do and the time and effort you put into your ministries, you guys are truly the rock stars. And so before I even get too far into this series, I want you to know that we appreciate everything that you do. So thank you. Thank you for all of the hours that you have put into preparing and prepping a lesson, looking and working on calendar, leading activities, hosting Bible studies, organizing events for your entire student body. Thank you. We know that it's not easy to be a youth worker, much less a volunteer youth worker. And so we're thrilled that you are part of our family. So thank you for serving. Second, this week is all about sharing resources and helps and tips, all focused on the volunteer youth worker. Whether you are the lead person or a volunteer working with a team, we hope that some of the things that we share with you this week will be helpful for you as you lead and serve the students that God has placed before you. Now, we know that youth ministry takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of energy. It takes a lot of commitment. It takes a lot of passion. And it does take some training and equipping. You know, one of the conversations I often hear from volunteer youth workers is that they can often feel ill-equipped or unprepared for what they have been called to do. Well, when I have those conversations, one of my instant responses is, welcome to the team. Because the reality is many of us often feel like we're not prepared or ready for the work that God has called us to. So you're in good company. And in fact, it doesn't even matter how much you have had training or experience. There are often times when you have to sit down with a student or you have to step into a situation where you just feel not prepared to do what you're about to do. That's when we rely on God. We trust that He is going to work us through that situation and bring us out the other side. And we rely on His support. But here's my hope for you this week as we begin this series. My hope is to share with you the hope and the help that you need to do this incredible job that you have been called to do. Now, I don't often go ahead of what we are planning to do for the week and share with you what we're going to talk about. But I feel like for this week, because we're dealing with the topic of volunteer youth workers, I want to kind of give you a little teaser so that you kind of can know what we're talking about so that you can make sure you join us each day this week. So for instance, we're going to share some resources for volunteer youth workers. Now, some of those resources are going to be specifically designed and created for volunteers. Other resources are just good general youth ministry resources that any leader, whether the lead person or a volunteer serving on a team, should read or at least be aware of because they're great places to find some help. Now, we're also going to talk about a few websites. Again, there's not many that focus specifically on the volunteer, but there are a lot of websites that offer great helps and tools for volunteer youth workers. And so I'm going to share with you some of my favorite and point out some ways that you can best use those resources. Another topic where it's more practical ideas for you as a youth worker. Now, I have had conversations with volunteer youth workers who are just starting out, and their number one question that they often ask is, how do I begin? We're going to focus on what it looks like to be a volunteer youth worker just starting out. And I've got 10 ideas, 10 thoughts that I think can help you just kind of wrap your head around the ministry and help you organize as you move forward. We're going to talk about something more intentional. We're going to talk about the importance and the value of prayer in your own spiritual development. Because as a youth worker, you're going to be put right there on the front lines. But with prayer and some good discipline, you'll quickly find that you'll be a healthier youth worker than what you would be without them. And then we're going to wrap the whole thing up this week with just some other practical tips that might help you as the lead volunteer or even just as a volunteer working with your team. Some thoughts that will help you actually shape and create an experience for students that is healthy and balanced. So join us all week long as we celebrate you, our hero. Because you are the one who God has called to do ministry in a unique and special way. To volunteer, to give of your time, to give of your resources, to give of your emotions, to give of your time and talents. And we want to say thank you, and we want to support you in that. So be with us this week right here on the Youth Worker Daily as we celebrate the unsung heroes, the volunteers. Now, as always, we want to encourage you, visit our website. Be sure to surf around and see some of the resources that we are putting together at theyouthworkerdaily.com. And then follow us on social media at YTH Worker Daily. Not only do we post the things that we're creating and sharing, but I'm always looking for other great ideas, tips, and resources that are share-worthy that we then put on our Twitter or our Instagram, or even sometimes on our Facebook. Lastly, if you're watching this video, know that we have a channel filled with almost 100 videos just like this, talking about all sorts of topics based on youth ministry, all to help you thrive in your ministry. You can go and look us up at the Youth Worker Daily right there on YouTube and subscribe, leave a comment. Let us know that you're watching and let us know that you appreciate what we're trying to do. It encourages us and it also helps us to gear how we're going to go in the future with other topics and things that we're looking to do. So, thanks so much for checking in today. I'm excited for this week ahead. It's going to be a great time celebrating volunteers. All right, we'll see you next time right here on the Youth Worker Daily.